I started teaching to try to guide kids. I tell every kid, I says, I love every one of you, and there's nothing more that I want for you to be successful. And success has nothing to do with how much money you make, but success has everything to what you do with your life. And computer science, I honestly believe that computer science is the course that teaches kids, how to be successful in the decisions they make, in the problems they solve, and how they can live their lives through what we teach. And I was talking to one of the teachers in the MOOC, and she said, who should we look for, as teaching this course, computer science principles? I said, well, basically we have a lot of math, we have a lot of business ed teachers and stuff, very few computer science teachers, but they do a good job, they understand business. But she underscored a very important thing, and I think we saw that if you were watching MOOC, if you saw that with Michelle and with Dan, but the passion. That's what you need to teach this course and to be successful with the kids, with the kids that you truly believe in what you're teaching in this course, and that you're truly concerned about them and their future, and that all you want for them is nothing but the best for them, and that's why it's important for them to listen to you, and then you be passionate. You'll make mistakes all the time, don't worry, okay? The kids will teach you stuff as you teach the kids stuff. But I just, what Jenna said about the importance of this course, I just wanted to kind of lead off with that a little bit. But I'm talking about spreadsheets. I'm talking about pivot tables. I'm talking about data. And one of the big data issues is that you're trying to teach the kids that there's data everywhere out there. And the data is in abundance. And there's so much that you can learn and understand through studying the data and representing it. But there's so much data that's out there. I tell the kids that you are the result of every decision that you've made to this point in your life. Every decision that you've made is who you are today. And every decision that you make from this day forward is who you're going to be. It's all you. But how do you make decisions? What comes involved in decisions? And within the career preparedness course and stuff like that, I really like that because we talk about decision-making processes. I talk about decision-making processes in this course because the fact is you have to make sure that you take each decision seriously. And what does that involve? Well, every decision is based upon information. What's information based upon? All information is based upon data. And how I'm able to process that data to be useful for me, to be able to allow me to better understand what the situation is, to give me the information I need to make the decisions I need so I can move forward in my life. So, first spreadsheet I used was Lotus 123 back in 1988. I had this little computer. It was called a PC, I think it was. And I saw the potential in that thing because I was an analyst in the Air Force. And I saw all of these numbers that we could crunch and all this kind of stuff. In fact, we were one of the first Air Force bases. I was stationed in Iceland at the time at Keflavik Air Base. And we were one of the first organizations to actually transmit data through our phone lines. I had a 300 baud rate modem, telephone modem. And we transmitted our monthly data through that. And my funds manager, he actually got a little decoration for it because he was one of the first ones to electronically transfer the financial data to headquarters and such. And so I fell in love with spreadsheets at that moment because of what we could do with this. You have a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are great for listing a lot of data. You can have a few columns, a few rows. You can have hundreds of columns and thousands of rows. But you can have it all there. But what do we do to extract the information we need from that? We've used filters, possibly. Maybe you've discovered count ifs, sum ifs. Didn't you feel cool when you discovered those functions buried in there? When we teach Excel, or we teach spreadsheets, all we do is sum, max, min, standard deviation, maybe something like that. But there's a lot more functions and capability within the spreadsheets that will allow you to make better decisions and present the information better. What I'm going to focus on today is, pivot tables. Okay? Pivot tables are cool. They're so cool. All right? And I remember the day I discovered pivot tables. I said, whoa, that's awesome. Okay? But basically, pivot tables makes it easier for us to summarize data, to count things up and summarize data. It allows us to save a lot of time from trying to create nicely formatted reports. Have you ever tried to do that? You got all your data on the spreadsheet. principal or your supervisor or your manager wants to know information and you're sitting there trying to format it and all this kind of stuff and it takes you hours to do. Well, one thing I tell the kids, I tell all my students, if you find yourself doing a lot of work on the computer to do something, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Because that's what the computer is there for, is to help make it easier. We just got to study on how to make it easier. In career preparedness and applications, we teach the kids the basics of Excel, the basics of word processing, the basics of database and such. Well, every course that you take teaches the basics. Well, how do I know the rest of this stuff? Well, that's up to you. That's up to you. Okay, I tell the kids the most important key on your keyboard is, you know which one that is? Power. F1. F1. Help. All you have to do is ask the computer, it'll tell you how to do this stuff. The presentation I'm giving today is exactly from help. It's on your computer. If you've got Word 2010, it's there on the computer for you. Okay? Equipped with the sample files and everything like this. You can teach yourself. That's what it's all about, right? Education doesn't stop in high school. But pivot tables allows us to do these things, and it allows us to quickly change how our data is summarized as well. I can quickly rotate the information, get a whole different perspective from it, just by pointing and clicking on something. Okay. So today, what I want to do is talk about how to set up the data for an Excel pivot table, how to create a pivot table with data in it, and then change the pivot table to give us a little bit different view. So there's our data. Now this data is filled with all kinds of stuff. I got countries, I got salespeople, I got order amounts, order dates, and what I sold and such. And so basically with this data, the reason I'm collecting this data is in order for me to monitor my sales, I guess, right? Right? Who are my salespeople? Where did they come from? How much did they sell? And what did they sell, eh? Okay, I say A because I got Canada in here. It's Canada and United States. So what I'd like to do is take that data here and then put it in something that's a little bit more summarized. And this is a pivot table. This is a pivot table that's created based upon the data I just showed you. And I'm going to walk through the steps of how to create this. How do I get from this to this? So how do we get information from the worksheet, and how do we make it where it makes sense for us? It's important. So I may have certain questions. The reason I got the data, I got questions. Okay, so how much did each person sell? I'd like to know what are the sales amounts for each salesperson by country. That'd be nice. I'd like to know what are the sales by date, okay, for each of my salespeople. And maybe I might want to summarize a little bit better by quarterly data. So the first thing we need to do, okay, first thing, you need to have your data organized in columns with headings. The headings is simply row number 1, and the titles that are up there is your column headings. And then you've got to have your data, make sure that you have no empty columns or empty rows amongst your data, because what the spreadsheet will do, and I'll say spreadsheet, because I'm not just talking about Microsoft Office Excel, okay? Lotus, OpenOffice, Libre, they do pivot tables as well. Now, if you want to know how to do that, what key do you press? F1, okay? But the basic operation is very simple. Make sure that your data is consistent. If you have a column that has dates, make sure their dates, okay? Make sure their dates are blank. If the columns have currency or values in it, make sure that it's all got currency or values in it or blank, okay? And so if you've got that, if it's lined up that way, then the spreadsheet will probably automatically select the area for your data table. It automatically does that. Again, just make sure that your data is lined up. Make it easy, right? It's easy. All right, so make sure it's nice and pretty. You don't have to boldface the stuff. I just like boldface. All right, so creating the pivot table. The first thing you do is you just simply place your cursor anywhere in the table. Just place your cursor anywhere in the table and right-click on it. Oh, I'm sorry. You click on anywhere in the table, and then you go in Excel, you go up to the Insert tab, click on the drop-down arrow for Pivot Table, and select Pivot Table. And then it'll get the little dialog window here, and it says, here is your table. This is your data range. And then I can put my pivot table in a new spreadsheet if I wanted to, a new worksheet, or I can keep it in the existing worksheet. I like to keep it in the existing worksheet because I like to look at my data, okay? So I'll say existing worksheet. In the existing worksheet, you say, well, what cell do you want it to be in? Then it will give you your pivot table layout. Now, your spreadsheets, usually you can drag and drop your data in there. Today, I'm gonna click on it. But you can simply drag and drop the data that you want because you have a field list. You have a field list. See, those column headings, that's the fields. It gives me a list of those fields. So, I got a question. How much did each person sell? Okay, how much did each person sell? So, what data do I need? Well, I got to have the salesperson data, and I've got to have the amount they sold, eh? Okay? The order amount. So Excel automatically, so what I do is, I click on salesperson, and the spreadsheet will automatically place those in the rows, because that's textual data. Okay, field name, okay? So there's that. And I want to know what the order amount is, okay? So data is automatically placed as rows, and then when I click on the order amount, it places it right where it belongs, okay? Non-numerical data goes to the left, numerical data goes to the right. And here I am stuck in the middle with you. Okay, so it gives me, notice it always automatically gives me total as well. Non-numerical, okay. Numerical data is always placed on the right. So, in this, I'm able to automatically, in just those couple of clicks, I can look at all of my salespeople. Now I had 800, there's 800 records in this spreadsheet. Oh my gosh, look at all those salespeople. Oh no, man, I only got this many. But it summarized all their data. It added all their orders, and it gives me a grand total. Boom. All right, what are the sales amounts for each salesperson by country? By country. Now I know I got Canada, and I got the US of A. Okay? So, what I like to do is, I might like to filter this report. Focus on my Canada, focus on my USA, instead of having them all joined together. So I need a filter for that. So, country. We'll use country field, since I want to look at country. So by using country field as report filter, you can see the separate report for Canada, USA, or both, or all of them. So, real hard. Simply what you do is you right-click on the country field in the pivot table. You simply right-click on the country field in the field list, and you click Add Report Filter. So here, I right-clicked on the country, and I said Add Report Filter. The new country report filter is added to the top of the report. So now automatically, I have country up here. And I have a drop-down list. And so I can drop down, select Canada. There's my Canada salespeople with their data. With their data. All right, that looks pretty good. Maybe I want to do something else. I got another question. What are the sales by date? I want to look at their sales by date. Maybe they're sloughing off on me some days. Maybe on Thursday they don't sell anything. I don't know. I want to look at their dates. So I want to bring the date in. So to get the answer, select the checkbox next to the order date and bring it into the report. And the order date field is automatically added to the left because it's not a value. It's added to the left. And so now I have dates in here. So here's my salesperson, and I have the list of dates. And I have their sales on those dates right there. Still, that's a lot of data. That's a lot of data. You say it's all cluttered up. Too much data. Maybe I want to summarize it by quarter. I want to summarize by quarter, because that's where we make our decisions, based upon quarterly results. You didn't sell something for me on one day, I'm not going to get on it. But if you didn't sell anything on a quarter, we won't have a talk. So we click on the date in the report. You just click on a date in the report. And then you go to the group field. Okay? When you click on the date, your pivot table of tools comes up, and you click on group field. Well, the field is going to be date, because that's what I have selected. So we click on the options tab in the group field, and then you get a drop-down dialog window, and look at here, it knows dates. It knows days. It knows time. So it says quarters. I click on quarters, click on OK. Now look at there. Ain't that cool? Now Buchanan, I now see his quarterly output, production. That's still a little busy. So I want to pivot the pivot table. I want to pivot now where instead of quarter being on the rows, I want the quarter to be on the columns. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. Oh, I got to read. No. All you have to do is simply click on the quarter, right click, you say move order date to columns, and there's order date to columns. Here's my new table. This is just one of the data functions that we have available within Excel. We always tell you sum, min, max, average, standard deviation. But this is powerful stuff here. You can also, there's two variable data tables that you can actually change the values and see what the results of those changes are. Goal seeking, doing goal seeking with Excel spreadsheets. So pivot tables make it easy for us to summarize and tabulate data. It saves us a lot of time that we need to do, that we can gain insight on the data that we have there. It allows us to quickly change how our data is looking. And it's not just Excel. I gave up teaching Office a couple of years ago. I got fed up with Microsoft 07, 10, 13, Lord, and they're always changing it. And frankly, my school system doesn't have enough money to keep buying those things. And I got sick and tired of the parents telling me, we don't have that at home. Can we do your website? You know. So I went to OpenOffice. It's free. Even the Mac users can use OpenOffice. Okay? And you can do the same stuff here in this. The value of help, F1. That's one of the things that I drill into my kids. See, I want my kids to be computer literate. Not just computer users, I want them to be computer literate. I tell them the chief skill of computer literate people are, they understand that they have the skill of figuring it out. They take the time and figure it out. Help is one of the best values to have. All of this came from help. It's all right there. All you have to do is take a little time and go view it. All right, so I hope that this helped you gain some insight in the capability of Excel spreadsheets, the value of pivot tables, and hopefully how easy they are to create, yet how powerful they are to give us the data to better understand our situations. Good. Thank you.